Early that morning, an older man strolled in a quiet park on the city's west side. He held a small dog on a leash, walking with steady steps, back straight, each movement like the gentle rhythm of a peaceful melody. He was 83 years old. No caregiver, no walker, no one to lean on. Just him and the little dog, like two lifelong friends who had always walked together. That very same morning, just a few districts away, in the stark white hallway of a geriatric hospital, there was another man. He was 62. His legs could no longer support his weight, and it was his wife who quietly pushed the wheelchair down the long corridor. His face wasn't that of an older man. It was the face of someone who had lost the will to live, even though his body was still breathing. I couldn't help but ask myself, why? Why could an 83-year-old walk so gently through the morning light, while a man just 62 had to rely on a wheelchair, gasping for breath, silent and still? Was it genetics? Was it fate? Or was it something else? Something invisible, yet quietly shaping how we age day by day? Something deeper, perhaps, that relates to real, healthy aging? Maybe you've seen something like this before. A 78-year-old woman still shopping for groceries and cooking on her own. Meanwhile, at just 65, someone else has given up on life's routines, spending most days in a darkened room. And if you look closely, you'll notice. The people who age slowly, it's not because they have special genes. It's because they've managed to hold on to things that others let slip away. Small habits, quiet choices, and a daily promise to themselves. I still want to live fully. We don't grow old because of age. We grow weaker because of the things we stop doing. Stopping our walks, stopping healthy eating, stopping learning, stopping connection, stopping rest, and worst of all, stopping believing that we can be different. So the real question isn't, how old are you? It's, how much of your life do you still want to live starting now? Today, we'll explore 6 simple but powerful habits that have helped many people in their 70s and 80s live longer, joyfully, and fully. These are the real, actionable anti-aging tips after 50. Not magic, not guesswork, but lived truth. Because sometimes, one small change each day can be the difference between you walking a dog 20 years from now or sitting quietly in a wheelchair, watching life pass by. I'm Dr. Grace Llewellyn. For over 40 years, I've worked in the field of geriatrics. I've met hundreds, even thousands of people over 60. Some, at 65, already had clouded eyes, slumped shoulders, and a voice that barely rose above a whisper, as if afraid to disturb anyone. But others, at 80, walked into my clinic with a bright smile, a straight back, and a spark in their eyes. The spark of life, hope, and sometimes a quiet strength that medicine cannot explain. I once asked an 82-year-old woman, "What's your secret? You still walk to the grocery store, cook daily, and read French novels in the evening." She looked at me, winked, and said, "Doctor, I don't try to stay young. I just never agreed to grow old passively." That day, I understood. The people who keep that light in their eyes are not just lucky. They are people who make conscious choices every single day. Not choosing to live longer, but choosing to live right. I've also seen many in their 60s, an age that should still feel young, who have already lost their drive and, worse, their sense of control over their bodies. They don't know why their legs feel weak, why their memory fades, why waking up feels like surviving a battle. And every time I ask about their daily habits, the answer is often a long silence. No movement, no proper meals, no curiosity to learn new things, no conversations. And for a long time, I had no sound sleep. That's when I started seeing a pattern. Age doesn't decide how we grow old. What we do or don't do each day draws the map of our aging. And I realized something even more painful. Most of what weakens us in old age begins with the smallest, most ordinary choices. Harmless at first, but repeated day after day, they quietly drain the life from us. So, I'm not here to offer you a miracle pill today. And I won't promise that by the end of this video, you'll feel 30 again. I can share 6 habits that the longest living, healthiest elders I've ever met all had in common. They're not flashy, they're not complicated, but they've quietly protected these people year after year. They're not just secrets to longevity, they are the foundation of a life about existing and living. If you still believe that you deserve to spend your later years strong, clear-minded, and independent, then what you're about to hear might change the rest of your life. Because sometimes it's not about adding more time. It's about learning to keep you young after 50 and living more fully with the time you already have. Chapter 1. Ageless steps. Walking from the bed to the front door sometimes feels like a journey. Not because it's cold outside, not because of any sharp pain, but simply because the body no longer listens as it used to. The same legs that once carried us to work, dances, upstairs and down sidewalks, now make us hesitate every morning. Just sitting up requires a deep breath. Just slipping on a pair of slippers makes the heart pound. There are mornings like that, tired for no apparent reason, and the first thing we give up is the act of walking. But then there are others who by 7 a.m. have already finished a lap around the neighborhood, a cup of coffee in hand, earbuds in, walking calmly as if old age were nowhere near catching up to them. They don't need to run, just walk, and walk steadily, slowly but surely, simply but powerfully. Mr. Leonard Pace was one of those people. I met him when he was 72, tall and lean, with wisps of white hair, gripping a wooden cane worn smooth from use. He sat down across from me, let out a tired sigh, and said, "Doctor, I'm so tired. A few steps feel like climbing a hill, and stairs make me dizzy." The results from his checkup were surprisingly normal. His heart was fine, blood pressure a little high, but manageable. Bone scans showed signs of osteoporosis, but nothing alarming. So what had drained the strength from a man who had worked as a mechanical technician for over 40 years? The answer lay in what he had stopped doing. He used to walk more than anyone in the factory, from the assembly floor to the repair shop, from the parking lot to the warehouse. But after retirement, he stayed home more, moved less, and each time he felt tired, he'd sit longer, telling himself he just needed rest. That loop continued for 3 years, until his muscles started to fade. I told him one simple thing. "You don't need to do anything grand, Mr. Leonard. Just walk for 10 minutes a day. There is no need for speed. There is no need for distance. Just consistency." He looked at me, skeptical, then smiled softly. "What good is 10 minutes gonna do, doctor?" And I said, "It's a signal, a message to your heart, lungs, and legs, that you're still using them, that they still need to keep working." He started by walking around his garden, 5 minutes each morning, then 10. After 1 month, he could walk the full length of his alley. After 3 months, he told me, "I put away the cane." After 1 year, Mr. Leonard walked 3 kilometers every morning. Not forced, just part of his new life. I saw him again at the park. No longer a patient, but a 75-year-old man with a healthy glow, nimble legs, and, most striking, a brightness in his eyes. "I feel like I got 10 years of my life back," he said. "Not because I'm stronger, but because I feel alive again." Walking isn't a miracle sport, but for those over 60, it's the most potent medicine we can give ourselves. When you walk, your heart beats more steadily, your blood flows better, your brain gets more oxygen, which helps preserve your memory. Your muscles stretch, reducing stiffness and pain. And most importantly, your nervous system resets itself. Stress hormones like cortisol drop. You see more clearly, sleep more deeply, and your mood gently lifts. A study from Harvard University showed walking just 30 minutes a day can reduce the risk of heart disease by up to 40%. That's no small number, especially in a stage of life where even a mild heart attack can take everything from you. You might not believe it. You might think, my legs are too weak now. But that's precisely when you need to begin. You don't need to go far. Just step out the door, walk around the house, around the yard, then each week a little farther. Just like Mr. Leonard, starting with 5 minutes in a cane, ending with 3 kilometers every morning and no help from anyone. I've always believed this. As long as you can walk, you still own your life. That feeling of walking on your own 2 feet, not needing to lean on your children, not needing a prescription. It is the very feeling of freedom. And freedom is the heart of a joyful old age. Your body is waiting for a signal. It doesn't need you to run a marathon. It just needs you to rise and take a step, as if to say, I still care about myself. Every step is a small promise, a quiet declaration that you're not giving up. So let me ask you, when was the last time you walked for yourself? If you're ready to begin again, even just for 5 minutes, leave a comment that says, I'm still walking. Because sometimes, one slow lap around your yard, it can lead you right back to your own life. Chapter 2. Eat to nourish, not just for pleasure. We don't usually think that a breakfast sausage, an afternoon soda, or a quick instant noodle snack could quietly chip away at our memory, our strength, little by little, every day. Because to the naked eye, they seem harmless. A slice of deli meat, a sweet pastry, and a small bag of chips isn't poison. But the real danger is that they don't come alone. They bring blood sugar spikes, high cholesterol, and low-grade inflammation that lingers quietly. And the scariest part, we've gotten used to them. Ms. Meredith Chan used to call her meals light and convenient. For breakfast, a slice of white bread, some margarine, and a glass of ultra-pasteurized milk. A ham sandwich for lunch. She microwaved frozen meals when she was too tired to cook in the evening. She was 68, living alone, and hadn't used a kitchen knife much since her husband passed away. Fresh food makes me feel uneasy, she told me during our first consultation. When you're feeding yourself, what you eat doesn't matter, as long as you're full. But her body didn't feel the same way. She began feeling foggy-headed. Her heart would race after dinner. Her knees burned when she squatted down. She slept lightly, waking up stiff and achy. Her blood work showed high triglycerides, signs of widespread inflammation, and erratic blood pressure. I didn't prescribe her any medication. Instead, I asked her one thing. Are you willing to change just one thing a day? No dieting, no calorie counting. Just add one vegetable, a little fish, a glass of warm water. She nodded, unsure but willing to try. And 3 months later, the Meredith I met again was not the same woman. She began adding spinach to her breakfast, lightly sautéed with eggs. At lunch, she had rice with steamed carrots and grilled salmon. Her dinners were still simple, but now included a fresh salad and half an avocado. She cut back on canned foods, reduced sugar, and drank water instead of soda. The result? She didn't lose a dramatic amount of weight. She didn't reverse aging, but she slept better. Her knees hurt less. Her blood pressure stabilized. And most noticeably, her eyes. They no longer had the tired look they did the first time I saw her. Doctor, she smiled. I used to treat my body like a machine. Just keep it running, no matter how. Now, I'm learning to treat it like an old friend who needs care and attention. Science is clear. After age 60, your body needs food not just to feel full, but to survive. Vitamin K in leafy greens like kale and spinach helps strengthen bones and reduce fracture risk. Antioxidants from carrots, tomatoes, and blueberries help reduce inflammation and protect brain cells from degeneration. Omega-3 in salmon and sardines supports memory and lowers the risk of dementia. Fiber in oats and brown rice keeps blood sugar steady and slows the progress of diabetes. And water, the simplest thing of all, helps the body flush toxins, regulate blood pressure, and keep joints lubricated. Too many people think healthy eating is for the young, and that when you're old, anything will do. But the truth is, it's in old age that every bite matters more than ever, because food doesn't just fill the stomach, it shapes the way we age. And you don't need to eat ideally. Just start with one vegetable, a clear bowl of broth, a plate of whole, recognizable foods, not those that come in boxes, sealed in plastic, or filled with chemicals to last longer. Take a look at your fridge. Is it nourishing you or quietly making you weaker every day? Listen to your body after a meal. Is it thanking you or struggling to digest? We don't need to eat for comfort. We need to eat to feel light, clear, and free. And if you're wondering where to begin, start with this one simple question. What vegetable will you add to your meal today? Write its name down in the comments so that both you and your body know you're still choosing to live well. One bite at a time. Chapter 3, don't forget your brain, the name of your grandchild. You just mentioned it yesterday, but this morning, standing in front of a steaming cup of tea, you try to recall it. Your lips creep a few times, and yet the name slips away. Not because you don't love them, not because you're careless, but because memory, that vast storehouse of faces, moments, familiar addresses, is slowly, quietly leaking, without warning. You may have thought, oh well, I must be getting old. But the truth isn't so simple. Growing older doesn't mean your brain has to weaken, and forgetting is not something you're powerless against. Mr. Nolan Rivers used to think otherwise. At age 72, he started noticing small slips, not remembering if he locked the door. I don't know whether he had an orange or an apple for lunch. And sometimes when his daughter called, it took a few seconds to recognize her voice. At first he joked, maybe my brain retired along with me. But then he forgot his grandson's birthday for the first time, and that moment froze him. It scared me, he said, because if I start forgetting the people I love, what's left of me? That's when he decided not to sit back and wait. He began learning to draw, not because he wanted to become an artist, but to feel what it's like to guide his hand with intention, to observe with his eyes, and to challenge his brain to connect it all into an image. In the evenings, he spent 30 minutes solving Sudoku puzzles, not to compete with anyone, but to force his brain to focus, analyze, remember, make mistakes, and correct them. And every morning, he read one short article, sometimes world news, sometimes a new recipe, to keep the habit of receiving and processing new information. 3 months later, his short-term memory had improved. After 6 months, he remembered the name of an old friend he thought was lost forever. And most importantly, he felt present in his own life, no longer left behind. Science is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections. Just like muscles shrink without exercise, the brain also weakens when we stop using it. But you don't need a fancy degree or academic program. All your brain needs is consistent stimulation through reading, writing, conversations, brain games, or learning a new skill. It doesn't have to be significant, just regular. Your brain doesn't age unless you stop using it, and they stop responding when those quiet folds go unused for too long. It's like a door that hasn't been opened in years. The hinges grow rusty, But if you open it every day, even once, it stays flexible, ready to let in fresh air and light. Don't think learning is only for the young. Older adults don't learn to earn money or diplomas. We learn to keep ourselves, to stay connected, feeling and alive in this world. A study from the University of Exeter found older adults who regularly exercise their brain experience memory decline 32% slower than those who don't. And it's not just memory. They're more joyful, engaged, and feel less isolated. So if you've read this far and you feel slower, if you've forgotten more, if the sharpness you once had seems faded, don't worry. You're not too late. And your brain is still waiting for you to give it a challenge, a puzzle, a new story to unfold. You don't need to become smarter. You need to keep learning so you don't fall behind yourself. Whether it's learning to draw, plant something, or use a phone, or simply reading a short article each morning, you're protecting yourself in a quiet but powerful way. So let me ask you, what would it be if you could learn one new thing today? Write just one word in the comments, because sometimes just one word, it is enough to wake up some of you sleeping far too long. Chapter 4. Aging muscles but not fragile. People don't fall because the wind is strong. They fall because something inside, something we can't see with the naked eye, has been weak for a long time. Weakness doesn't happen in a day. It's the result of thousands of mornings without stretching. Hundreds of times, choosing not to stand up to grab something off a shelf. Months of sitting, watching TV, eating, and going straight to bed. We don't feel anything until one missed step on a bathroom ledge sends our whole body down. And in that moment, we can no longer stand back up on our own. Mrs. Estelle Bowman knows that better than anyone. At 80 years old, she dropped a glass on the floor on a morning just like any other. She bent down to pick it up, just like always. One hand is on the counter and the other holds a towel. But suddenly, her whole body felt like it was being pulled to the ground. Her knees trembled, her back ached, and her arms weren't strong enough to push herself back up. She had to call her son to help her. And at that moment, lying on the kitchen floor, unable to get up, she felt real fear. I wasn't sick. I didn't have a heart attack. I didn't break a bone. But I couldn't stand up, she said. I'd never felt so helpless. After that incident, her doctor explained something she had never heard of. Sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. After the age of 40, our bodies begin to lose muscle mass. If we don't stay active, this process speeds up after 60, leading to weaker limbs, a stooped posture, poor balance, and a much higher risk of falling. No one ever teaches us how to keep our muscles. No classes show older adults how to do light squats, push against a wall, or lift a leg beside a sofa. And no one warns us that if muscles aren't maintained, they fade, just like memory fades when we stop using it. But Mrs. Estelle wasn't going to let that fall define her. She didn't join a gym. She didn't hire a trainer. She grabbed a sturdy chair, stood beside it each morning, and practiced sitting down and standing up again. Light squats, 5 times at first, then 10. Later, she added small arm lifts using water bottles. 5 minutes a day, every morning, no skipping. After 1 month, she could rise from a chair more easily. After 3 months, she no longer needed support stepping up the front porch. After 6 months, she was carrying groceries up the stairs alone. I don't feel younger, she told me. But I feel like I've taken back something I thought I'd lost. Control. Resistance training doesn't mean heavy weights or grueling workouts. For people over 60, it simply means movement with purpose. Sitting and standing, lifting light objects, pushing gently against a wall, balancing on one foot. Each of these sends a message to your muscles. I still need you. And your muscles reply, then I'm staying. A study by the National Institute on Aging shows Just 2 sessions of light resistance training per week can increase strength, improve bone density, and significantly reduce the risk of falls. Even 15 minutes a day can help maintain your ability to walk independently and care for yourself without needing others. What matters most isn't how long you train, it's whether you start. Because if you wait until someone has to lift you off the floor, it may be too late. No one teaches us to preserve our strength until we've already lost the ability to stand up. And no one tells us this truth. Your body doesn't ask for much. You need not abandon it. Start today, even if it's just 5 sit-in stands next to a chair in your living room. Even if it's lifting 2 small water bottles, 10 times each arm. Even if it's strolling just 1 circle around the room. Because every movement, every signal you send to your muscles quietly says, I'm still using you. And your body will listen. You won't stay young forever, but you don't have to be brittle. You don't have to break easily. You don't have to be knocked down by a single fall. So, have you ever tried doing light squats beside a chair? If yes, comment yes. If not, comment not yet. And tomorrow, start with 5. Because one day, you'll thank yourself for the decision you made today. Chapter 5, The Warmth of Human Connection. Some people don't need me, but I don't. They don't need a prescription, a box of vitamins every morning, or even regular doctor visits. All they need is a phone call, a nod from the neighbor. This is a message just to check in. Someone to sit beside them, place a hand on their shoulder, and ask, sincerely, did you sleep well last night? Because there are pains no medicine can heal, and there are scars not written on the skin, but etched deep within, where only the presence of another person can truly bring relief. Mrs. Clara Monroe spent 45 years with her husband, Harold. Together, they built a small home in the suburbs, with a lavender garden out front and bookshelves they assembled themselves in the living room. He passed away when she was 74 after a sudden stroke. On the day she buried him, she stood quietly at the cemetery. She didn't cry. Bididn't her that day, the house, once filled with birdsong in the morning, grew still. The clink of a spoon in her teacup no longer sparked a playful comment from across the table. Every meal had only 1 chair pulled out. At first, I thought I was okay, she told me. I was still healthy. I could cook and drive to the store. But at night, when there was no one to tell about my day, I heard my sighs echoing back to me. She wasn't ill. Wasentep became heavy. Her blood pressure fluctuated. She forgot to drink water. I forgot to water the plants. I forgot what day of the week it was. One day, while looking for a book on the shelf, she realized it had been 3 weeks since she'd spoken to face. An old friend suggested she visit the local library, where there was a book club for seniors. I hesitated, she said. Thought, I probably already have their group. Who would I talk to? But she went anyway, quietly, sat in the back row. And by chance, the host that day was a young volunteer who noticed her shy gaze and gently asked, Would you like to read this one with me, ma'am? Just ma'am on. And she felt seen again. From that day on, every Tuesday, Clara went to the library. At first, to listen. Then, slowly, she began to speak up. A few weeks later, she brought cookies to share with the group. I didn't know. I didn't like other people so much until I started laughing again, she said with a smile. Science is clear. Social connection is not just an emotional luxury. It's a biology it's need. When we talk, listen, and feel cared for, our brains release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, that reduces stress and creates a sense of safety. Dopamine, the feel-good chemical, is also released, boosting mood and motivation. Studies show that seniors with strong social lives have stronger immune systems, less chronic inflammation, and up to 50% lower risk of dementia. Loneliness, on the other hand, is a silent inflammation. It doesn't pain, but it quietly drains your vitality from the inside out. A study from the University of Chicago found that social isolation increases cortisol, which negatively impacts sleep memory and even increases the risk of early death, equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So, not everyone who lives alone is lonely, but almost everyone is lonely and feels alone, even if they live under the same roof. We don't need Croto. We need the right people. Someone who listens without brushing off our stories. Someone who asks if we slept well, not just out of politeness. Someone who remembers us, not because we need something from them, but because we deserve to be remembered. You don't have to do a big group. You don't have to do parties. All you need is one phone call a week, a cup of tea with a neighbor, a message to a long-lost friend. Because every small interaction, a glance, a laugh, a simple "I hear you," is a dose of medicine that keeps you truly connected to life. Not just existing, but being truly present. So, who have you called this week? If there is no one yet, comment on the name of the first person you want to contact today. It could be an old friend, a younger sibling, a grandchild. You'd be surrounded. How have you been? Oh, from you will change someone's into someone's, and sometimes it changes the rest of your life too. Chapter 6, Sleep, a Gift and a Guardian. There are nights when you lie down, but you don't really. Your body is still on the bed, but your mind keeps turning like an old clock out of that. Your eyes are closed, but your thoughts are still lit up, like streetlights that won't shut off and won't hear your heartbeat. The fan, the ticking of the clock, but not the one thing you need most, stillness from within. Mr. Harold Keyes spent 3 years like that. At 66, retired, no major health issues, no financial worries. But he couldn't recalculate the night of restful sleep. I'd wake up at either 3 in the morning for no reason, he said. Mind racing, body aching, and I couldn't fall, couldn't. Mornings felt like I hadn't rested, like the power had been shut off, but never recharged. He tried sleeping pills. They left him groggy. I tried a little wine, but it only made sleep shallower. He stopped going out, too tired. He stopped socializing. His mind was too foggy. I stopped looking in the mirror. The eyes looking back seemed like someone sick for far too long. He wasn't looking for medication. He was looking for something else. We began with something almost too simple, turning off the screens. Every evening before 8 p.m., he shut off the TV, the phone, and the tablet. He drank a cup of caffeine-free herbal tea, read a short passage from a book, or play a soft classical music playlist. We changed his bedroom light bulbs to a warm, amber tone. He went to bed at the same time each night. Not too early, not too late. And most importantly, no phone in bed. At first, he called it a silly experiment. But after 2 weeks, something happened that hadn't happened. His eyes began to close on their own. No effort, no tossing. After 1 month, he slept 5 to 6 hours straight through the night. No waking up in the middle. No haze in the morning. It felt like someone was putting me back together, he said. I started remembering my dreams. I felt lighter. My mind, it finally stopped buzzing. You might think, sleep is not to all. Why should I have to learn it? But the true H is, the older we get, the harder it is for the body to regulate sleep independently. Melatonin, the hormone that makes you feel sleepy, decreases with age. The body becomes more sensitive to light, noise, discomfort, and even small, unresolved thoughts from the day. Deep sleep isn't just about the number of hours. It's when your body enters real recovery and the brain begins to clear out neural waste, including amyloid, which has been linked to memory loss and Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's also helps regulate blood sugar, control cortisol, the stress hormone, and activate the immune system to fight inflammation and infection. Lack of sleep, on the other hand, increases the risk of diabetes, high blood pressure, depression, and even weight gain, even if you eat well. In short, sleep is how your body heals itself. We don't want to deny your body the chance to recover if you don't sleep. You don't need to do 10 hours a night. You need the proper habits to support good sleep. Turn off all screens at least an hour before bed. Read, listen to gentle music, or meditate. Drink warm water or tea, but not right before bed. Go to bed at the same time every night. Avoid heavy meals, alcohol, and caffeine after 5 p.m. And above all, treat sleep as sacred, not something you sacrifice for just a few movie videos or one more task. Every good night of sleep is a better day of living. You can't feel true Kentalthi if your body is left alone in the dark every night to struggle. Start tonight. Dim the lights. Turn off the screens. Play soft music. Open a peaceful book. Tell your body, we're resting. We're giving up but restoring. So, what's your bewatch habit? Just write one word. Tea. Music. Book. Lights off. Because sometimes, that one word is the signal your body has been waiting for. To finally drift into the kind of deep sleep you've been for years. Conclusion, the takeaway. I once saw a 78-year-old man standing on his front porch at sunrise. His hands rested gently behind his back. He bent his knees, then stood up again. Steady, smooth, and slow. The early light cast a soft glow on his silver hair and deeply lined face, but his posture, upright and grounded, felt untouched by time, as if the core of him had stayed strong no matter how many years passed. There was no music playing. No one is counting reps. There are no cameras recording. He was just there, alone, moving through each motion slowly. Not because anyone told him to, not to impress anyone, but because he chose to live fully. That morning, and likely many quiet mornings before it, I didn't ask him, didn't the secret to a long life, because I knew the answer wasn't in I wasn't a yearly checkup. It was in the small, repeated things most people overlook. Longevity doesn't begin, doesn't doctor's office doctor's gins in the kitchen, where you choose real food over what's quick and what. It begins in the front yard, where you walk a few laps instead of staying still all morning. It begins at the stair step, where you practice sitting and standing to keep your legs strong. It begins with how you protect your sleep like a sacred ritual, not trading it for one more late-night show. It begins in a simple midweek phone call, instead of leaving your phone untouched for days. It begins with one page of a book, one piece of music, one short game to keep the brain alive, instead of letting your mind go silent. Living long is a gift, but living well is a choice, and each of us has the right to make that choice, starting today. To live your older years with clarity, with strength, and with connection. You can't turn back, Ante, but you can walk forward with it without losing yourself. Because sometimes, just one habit, one seemingly small decision, it can be the difference between a life that quietly shrinks and a life that's day by day. So how about you? Of all the things you've just heard, which habit will you begin today? A walk around the house? Adding one more vegetable to your dinner plate? Calling a friend you haven't spoken to in years? Or setting down your phone early and picking up a book instead? Whatever it is, begin. Not for anyone else, but for you. Because aging isn't the end, isn't story. It's the part of life where finally, you get to live it your way, with more calm, more depth, and more meaning. And if you're looking at your community, a place where no one rushes you to stay young, but where we gently choose, together, to stay well, to stay present, to stay whole. Then click subscribe to this channel. We're here, we're to walk with you, one small habit at a time. Kindly, steadily, and fully. We'll be waiting for you.